Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play the Star Spangled Banner. So this is actually a really great arrangement for the beginner fingerstyle player. And it's got something really cool in it. It's got an upward strum that highlights the melody note that falls on string 4. So what's unique about that is that when we think of chord melody, and chord melody means we're playing the chord plus the melody together, most of the time that melody note falls on the bottom of the chord. So if I was to make a C major chord, that melody note would be the 3rd fret of string 1. So let me give you an example. I'll play a couple bars from the song, and just the melody by itself sounds like this. Okay, now if I add the chords, we have so you saw that whole melody line fell onto the 1st string, but a couple times in this arrangement, the melody will fall into string 4. So a really unique approach, and strumming upwards creates a different timbre, a different tonality with the way that the strum sounds. So you get a really cool sound out of it. So Matt's going to be teaching you that technique and his approach for strumming upwards. But before we jump into Matt teaching you this tune, let's talk a little bit about the lesson. So in this lesson, you're going to be learning the entire song. Now, if you do want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, you can click this link right here, or go to this site, rockclass101.com, and do a search for the Star Spangled Banner. Now, also on that page, you'll be able to find the on-screen tab viewer. So this is an interactive tab player where you can hit play, watch the tab scroll across in real time. You can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a really great asset for learning this song that much easier. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this tune, and then I'll see you at the end of the video.
This week we're going to learn a solo chord melody arrangement of the Star Spangled Banner. This is going to really be making use of our high G string to play some melody notes, so if you're playing on a low G ukulele, you might want to look for another arrangement, but if you're playing a high G, it's magic. So let's go ahead and jump right in. To start off here, we're going to be playing a pickup bar going into the first measure. So we're going to lump these together. And the first measure, or pickup bar rather, it's just going to start with an open G, followed by an open E. Going right into the first bar, we're going to play the open C string, then an open E string, and then we're going to upstrum on a C chord. Now to play the C chord, you can just take your ring finger, place it on the 3rd fret of the A string. And when we do this upstrum, there's 2 different ways that I like to do it. The first, and the easier one, is to use your index finger and upstrum, making sure that you really catch the G string. The reason for this is that the melody note is this G note. And so by coming up and really catching that G, you bring the melody note forward. The other way that you can play this is using your thumbnail and coming up and over. You'll notice it'll create a kind of brittle sound when you first work on it, but as you practice it, it can create a very different timbre, a very different tone of your ukulele. And I really like to use this just to get a different sound. So when we look at that pickup bar into the first measure, it sounds something like this. 1 and 2 and... Going right into the second measure, we leave our ring finger here and just add the index finger on the 2nd fret of the G string for our A minor, and we strum through that. Then we're going to slide this up so that we get our pinky on 7 of the A, and then you can use your ring finger here on 5 of the A. So that measure is something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now that ring finger that was on 5, going into measure 3 is going to slide down to the 3rd fret, and we're going to reapply our index finger here to the 2nd fret of the G string. So we strum through those 4 strings together. We're then going to play the open E, then we're going to play 2 on the E, and I like to use my middle finger here for that too. So measure 3 is something like this. 2 and 3 and... Going right into 4, we're going to use another one of those up strums. This time we're going to play a G chord, index finger on the 2nd fret of the C string, ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the E string, and middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the A string. And we come up either with our index finger or our thumb, making sure either way that we play it that we really catch that G string. And then we're going to play 3 on the E, which is already fretted by our ring finger here twice to fill out that measure. So that measure 4, should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and... Now, the first 4 measures all together, including the pickup bar, should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and... Going right into measure 5, we're going to take our pinky and move it all the way up to fret 7 on the A string and play this C chord, 0, 0, 0, 7. Strum through all 4 strings. And then from here, we're going to go down to 5 and 3. I like to actually slide my pinky down to 5. And then I like to use my middle finger here on 3 of the A string. So that measure sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and... Now the reason I like to use my middle finger here on 3 of the A is because the next measure here on 6 goes to a G chord. I can just take this middle finger and slide it down 1 fret and then build my G chord around the rest of it. So index finger on the 2nd fret of the C string, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, and middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the A. I'm going to strum through all 4. And then I'm going to play 0 on the A, so I just take off the middle finger. Make sure you only take off the middle finger so that the index and ring fingers can continue making a good tone and letting that ring as you're going through. So just open the A string, then put it back on for the 2. So just that measure 6 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and... Going into measure 7, we're going to play a C chord, and we do that just with our ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string. Then we're going to play the 3 on the A again, then the open G. So that measure is pretty straightforward, sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and... Now at this point, you'll notice it has a repeat that's going to be taking place. And so we're going to be going back towards the beginning of the song after we go through this first ending. So this first ending here on measure 8 is going to be open on the E string, and then open on the C string, and then we're going to play open on the G and open on the E. So pretty easy for that first ending. So that measure 8, should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and... Now, let's go ahead and play measures 5 through 8 so that we can hear those 4 bars together. That should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and... Now at this point, it repeats back to measure 1. So we skip the pickup bar when we do the repeat, and we just go straight back to measure 1. Play through measure 2, going all the way through this. Now we just completed measure 7. So instead of going to measure 8, we go now to measure 9, which is the second ending. So to play measure 9, we're going to play open on the E string, and then open on the C, and then we're going to take our pinky and play 7 on the A twice. Now at this point, it's going into the next section of the song. But let's go ahead and play measure 9 together. 2 and 3 and. So now that we can hear all of those played together, I'm going to play the beginning all the way through with the repeat and then going into that second ending. Should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and. Now at this point we're on measure 10, and this sort of starts our melody B section. So let's go ahead and strum through this C chord, but what happens is when we play that 7 on the A, we're going to switch over with our index finger to play 7 on the A string for this C chord on this 0, 0, 0, 7. And the reason is because we're going to be going up from the 7, so we want to make sure that we're using a lower finger. So after I play through that C chord there, I'm then going to add the middle finger here on 8 of the A, and then the pinky finger here on 10 of the A. So that measure is something like this. 2 and 3 and. Going right into measure 11, we're going to play all open with that 10 on the A. So that pinky that we just applied, we just leave it there and strum through all 4 strings. Then we're going to play 8 on the A with our middle finger here, and then 7 on the A with our index finger. So measure 11 is like this, 2 and 3 and. Going into measure 12 now, we're going to bar our index finger across the 5th fret of the C, E, and A strings, making sure that we leave our G string open. Then we're going to add our ring finger here to the 7th fret of the E string. So we have 0, 5, 7, 5. We're going to strum through all 4 of these. If you struggle getting that bar, I actually like to take my middle finger and stack it over the index just to make sure it's getting a really nice connection. And remember, whenever you're doing a bar, get right up next to those fret wires to make it much easier to get a good sound. So we play the 0, 5, 7, 5. Then we're going to play 7 on the A. I like to use my pinky to squeeze in there on the A string. And then 8 on the A. So that measure is something like this. 2 and 3 and. Now going into measure 13, we're going to be holding that same shape. That pinky there that's on 8 that we just played is still part of it. So that measure 13, that G7 chord now is 0, 5, 7, 8 with our index finger still barred, ring finger here on the 7 of the E string, and our pinky finger here on the 8 of the A. We strum through all 4 strings, and then at the last beat of the measure we play the 8 again. So that in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and. Now those 4 bars played together starting at measure 10 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and. Now going into measure 14, we're going to take off our index and ring fingers, and we're going to just slide the pinky finger down to fret 7 of the A string. So we have 0, 0, 0, 7, and this is a C chord, much like one that we played earlier, but earlier we played with the index finger. This time we're doing the pinky because now we're going downward. We always pick which finger that we fret things with based on which direction we're going. In this case, because we're going down, we're going to play with our pinky, and then we're going to play the 5 on the A, and we can use our ring finger there And then we're going to play the 3 on the A, in which case we can use our middle finger. So that measure 14 is something like this. 2 and 3 and... Now the reason I like using my middle finger here on the 2 of the A is because we're going to go to a G chord here on measure 15. And all that I have to do is pivot that middle finger down to 2 on the A, add the index here on 2 of the C, and the ring finger here on 3 of the E, strum through all 4 strings. Then we're going to open the A string and close it back off. So measure 15 is something like this. 2 and 3 and... Going right into 16 now, we're going to play a C chord. Just our ring finger here on 3 of the A, then the open E. Then we're going to play 2 on the E. So that measure is like this. 2 and 3 and... Going right into 17, we're going to play a G chord, and typical way of playing the G chord with our index here on 2 of the C, ring here on 3 of the E, middle here on 2 of the A. We're going to do that up strum again, index or thumb, either way it works. We're going to hold that for 2 beats, and we're going to play the 3 on the E. So that measure is something like this. 2 and 3 and... Now those 4 measures, going measure 14, 15, 16, and 17, should sound something like this when played together. 2 and 3 and... Here's what all of the melody B section sounds like together in time. 2 and 3 and... Now at this point we're in measure 18 and we're in the home stretch of the song, and in some ways this is sort of the melody C, but you'll notice that this song sort of has all these parts really intertwined. But I really like this part at measure 18. We're going to start with a C chord. We're going to use our ring finger there on the 3rd fret of the A string, strum through all 4 strings, then 3 on the A again, and then 3 on the A one more time, followed by 2 on the A with our middle finger. So that measure is something like this. 2 and 3 and... Going right into 19, we're going to play an F chord, but we're not going to play our typical F chord. Normally an F chord looks something like this with 2 fingers. Instead, we're only going to use our index finger here on the 1st fret of the E string. And we're going to play 0 on the C, 1 on the E, and 0 on the A. So we're not playing the G string. Then we're going to play the open A again. Then we're going to take this index finger and just move it up 1 string to the 1st fret on the C string to make an A7 chord. So that measures something like this. 2 and 3 and... At this point, we're going to slide all the way up to fret 5, bar all the way across all 4 strings with our index finger, strum through all 4 at the same time. Then we're going to add our pinky here on 8 of the A. Then we're going to play 7 on the A with our ring finger. Then 5 on the A, which is just part of this bar. And then 5 on the G, which is also part of this bar. Now I find this to be one of the more difficult parts of the whole song because you're barring all the way across and going to be moving pretty quickly through this. So just make sure that you're getting really comfortable barring across 5, and then these other fingers are coming into play as they're moving. So it goes across 5, then 8, 7, 5, 5. Notice how the bar is there the whole time. So that in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and... Now, this next chord, G7 sus4, I think is one of the harder relationships in the song because you're going to have to take this index finger and slide it all the way down to 1 on the E string then you're going to add the middle finger here on 2 of the C and the ring finger here on 3 of the A. So we have 0, 2, 1, 3. So something in practice is going from that 5 to this 1 and adding these fingers. And you can just kind of do that over and over and over until you build the muscle memory, because it happens pretty quickly. So we're going to play through that 0, 2, 1, 3, G7, sus4. Then we're going to move the ring finger down 1 fret to 2 on the A. And then we're going to play the open G twice. So that measures something like this in time. 2 and 3 and... Now those 4 measures 18, 19, 20, and 21, should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and... We're in the home stretch now, the last 4 measures. Starting with measure 22, we're going to play a C chord. Now remember that reoccurring theme of how we play a C should be based on if we're going up or down. Well, we're going up, so we're going to want to use our index finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string for the C. So then we can play 5 with our ring finger on the A, 7 with our pinky, and then 8 with our pinky. So that measure is something like this through the C chord. And then 5, 7, 8. So in time it sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and... And then we're going to slide all the way up to fret 10 with our pinky and play all open with 10 for measure 23. Now, this is the hardest part of the whole arrangement, and it's really important at this point that you don't take the timing too seriously, because it's the end of the song. So we want to hold chords a little bit longer, so you can be a little bit more with free time with this and hold the chords longer than they're written. But you'll notice that we're going to play this C chord, then we're going to go to an A minor 7 in a totally different way, taking our middle finger, placing on the 4th fret of the C string, ring finger on the 5th fret of the E string, and the index finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string. Strum through that with the thumb. And then the next chord here is a D7. Take your middle finger, slide it up 1 fret, take the other 2 fingers off, and then add the index to bar across bar 5. So the middle finger slides up 2 frets from 4 to 6, and then the index finger is barred across 5. So just that relationship of going between this A minor 7 and this D7 takes quite a bit of practice. And again, it's important to think of it a little bit more in free time, because we're at the end of the song, so you don't have to play it truly as 8th notes. So to hear it in time with a little bit of that holding, it sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and... Going right into 24, we're then going to play a C chord. And I like to play this C chord with my ring finger here on the 7th fret of the A string. So we're going to play 0, 0, 0, 7. And we're going to play 8 with our pinky. We're going to go back to that G7 we were playing earlier. Bar across 5 on the C, E, and the A strings. Add the ring finger here on 7 of the E. And we're going to strum through those 4 together. So that measure is something like this. 2 and 3 and... And then to finish it all off, we play a C chord, just as we normally do, and we just hold it for the full measure there. So to hear those last 4 bars together, measure 22 through the end, it should sound something like this in time. 2 and 3 and... You'll notice I held some of those parts a little bit longer, both because they're challenging, but also because it's the end of the song, and it sounds kind of nice to have a little bit more, of that fermata effect, essentially holding a note for a longer period of time than what's written. So that we can hear all of this, let's go ahead and play through this sort of last section, starting with measure 18, going through the end. It should sound something like this in time. 2 and 3 and... And there is the Star Spangled Banner. A lot of fun to play. Relatively simple arrangement with some complexity to it that makes it sound really nice. Remember that as you're going through it, that high G string is going to be the melody sometimes. And to practice getting that comfort with doing an up strum, highlighting a G string melody note. So hope you enjoyed it. I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time for the next song tutorial.
Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed learning this tune. A great fingerstyle piece for the beginner player, and it had that really cool upward strum approach to highlight a melody note that falls on string 4. So guys, I do want to remind you that if you do want to get the tabs to print off and keep for your records, that was available at this page, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com, do a search for the Star Spangled Banner. Don't forget too that on-screen tab viewer is on that page as well. So that interactive tab player where you can hit play, watch the tab scroll across in real time, highlight bars, all that fun stuff for making learning this song that much easier. So guys, again, I hope you enjoyed it, and do check out the site too. We have other patriotic songs. We've got God Bless America. Actually, scratch that. I haven't done that one yet. I do want to do that. But on the site, you'll also find America the Beautiful and Battle Hymn of the Republic. So 2 other awesome, beautiful American patriotic tunes. So guys, again, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.